Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good
Thank you for
morning.
being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we were just talking because, Danielle was showing us your way home.
It looks great, Danielle. Thank you. All the way over the Ko'olaus.
Now, yesterday, one of our big stories was HECO implementing the power shutoff program. And you were just informing me of, you have some colleagues in states who have implemented a program like this. So what are your thoughts on it?
It's always inconvenient when the power goes off, but in this particular case, we are talking about safety. We're talking about being preemptive for any potential tragedy or wildfire that could exist. I know they've recently instituted in Colorado, I think literally today, California has instituted one of those public safety power shutoffs, as they're calling them. Bottom line, I think we all need to be prepared. And so whether it is a power outage that is being done preventatively, or it is a natural disaster, we have to prepare and make sure we have backup generators, we have emergency plans in place. I think it's particularly important for public health institutions, nursing homes and medical facilities and doctors' offices and schools and educational facilities, right? Everyone needs to be prepared, because the bottom line, if it's about public safety, we may get a lot of notice that this shutoff could take place because we can see the weather. It might be a very short notice that this is going to happen because winds suddenly pick up. And again, this is all about public safety, but preparedness at the end of the day is so important. And especially if we think about in the next few months, we're going to head into hurricane season as well.
In dry season right now. So, of course, that top of mind. And of course, this program being implemented because of the experience we had nearly a year ago on Maui. It's crazy to think it's been almost a year. You've been doing a lot of work on Capitol Hill for Maui, including trying to get more supplemental disaster funding for that. Talk to me about where that's at, how that's moving.
Well, I think the last time we talked, I was trying to insert a $5 billion amendment into the NDAA for supplemental disaster relief. We did not obviously get that, but the president again coming back with a $700 million request, which is significant. We have to make sure that all of our disaster relief funds are as full as they can get. They have the resources they need to be able to respond to disasters as they hit. And this particular fund, the CDBG Disaster Relief Fund, really is about making sure that going forward, all of those disasters that we've experienced, including the wildfires on Maui, that we have the resources to take care and rebuild communities going forward. We will need to make sure that this particular fund has the $700 million the president requested, and every single year after that, that it is replenished, because we will still need to be able to rely on those resources. And as we know, disaster strikes, sadly, every single day across this country.
And I know another thing you've been working on is trying to designate Lahaina as a national heritage area. Can you tell us a little bit more about why that's so important? Because it does play into a lot of things you just talked about.
I oftentimes end walking through the Lahaina area, talking with Keamoku or Archie about what was. We'll go to Moku'ula, we'll take a look, and we'll talk about Kapawahine and the need for her to be returned to this special place. And really, for me, the designation of Lahaina as a national heritage area, we don't have a single one here in Hawaii. There's 62 across the country, was about grounding the rebuilding in its history and culture and heritage, and that being so very important that we never forget that there was a Lahaina long before people knew about a banyan tree, long before people knew about Front Street. Lahaina had its own rich, deep, important history and culture, and that's what this designation would do. And so I was really, I was so glad and humbled that the committee took up the bill. It was just literally one of a handful of measures that was heard last week, and really want to see this quickly go through so we can start that process of designating our very first in Hawaii national heritage area. And to me, it truly should be Lahaina.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And of course, while you're here, you're hosting healthcare talk stories on Maui and on Hawaii Island. So can you talk to us about those events and how the community can make sure they talk to you about it?
Thank you. As you know, we co-founded and I now co-lead the Bipartisan Rural Health Caucus in Congress. We have 60 members and growing, both Democrats and Republicans. We sit at common tables together and recognize that where you live shouldn't matter on the kind of health care and services that you receive. And so had a great talk story yesterday on Hawaii Island, and we talked about everything from reimbursement rates to workforce and how we can recruit and retain the very best, and especially our local Kama'aina kids, to be able to serve and work in these health professions in all of our communities. And tomorrow I'm going to head over to Maui for a number of different meetings, but I'm going to sit and we're going to talk about mental health, because we do know that that is definitely a pain point and a struggle right now. How do we support our communities? We've been talking with every branch of the federal government we can to make sure that those resources continue to flow to Maui, but really hearing from those on the front lines. And talking about what more we can do and what we should do, because we know this isn't just about a couple of months of help or even a few years of help. We're talking about generations of support, especially when it comes to our mental health on Maui and throughout our state, quite frankly, that we're going to need to continue to provide.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for joining us this morning. We always appreciate you fitting us into your busy schedule.
Thank you.
You just mentioned you were on Hawaii Island yesterday. You're headed to Maui tomorrow.
And I'll end on Lanai on Saturday for Pineapple Festival. So we're definitely making the rounds.
Pineapple Festival. Can I go with you?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you once again for joining us here this morning.